Good afternoon. It's once again Friday, 5:30 in the afternoon, and this is your host for the next 25 minutes or so of Hotline 21, and we are expecting an exciting conversation. You know, I try to bring a little report in from D.C. every week, and of course I have not been in D.C., and so whatever you've been getting has to be the news. Now you have to make a determination whether it's real news or whether it's fake news, and that's the determination. We just try to bring it to you straight in terms of what's going on, what took place. You know, the House decided to take a month of, I don't know what you call it, because it certainly is not rest and recreation, but a month outside of Washington. The Senate decided that they were going to stay and work. Of course, the idea was to try and convey to the people that the other side might not be working, that they went home. But anybody who knows that the members of Congress, both the House and the Senate, generally spend as much working time when they are away from Washington as they do in Washington, because you're not passing bills every day and you're not, negotiating and debating, but you do a lot of other things that relate to your constituents. I try to bring information that you can make use of. The real deal is that we're still checkmating each other. The Republicans are in control of the House, in control of the Senate, in control of the presidency, and, in control of the Supreme Court. Let me just be flat out. Which means that those individuals who disagree with what they're doing have to do everything that they can do to counter that. And of course, we expect them to do everything that they can do to keep the other side. But we've learned a level of civility. That is, we know how to make these decisions, and nobody picks up an Uzi and nobody decides that they're going to overthrow the government. And that's why many people across the world look at our processes of making decisions to be kind of what one might call in some ways sophisticated, civil, and it looks like we're going to have fisticuffs and all of that, but then once people finish the debate, the decisions are made and you're going about your business. The real deal is government is what you have. Politics is what you want. And so right now, I think that healthcare, many people, if you ask them what do they think the very, very important issues are in our country, they would say healthcare. And I would agree with them. Because health is wealth. You can have all the money in the world. You can have all the automobiles, all the fine cars, all of whatever you need, but if you don't feel good, you can't enjoy it. If you're not feeling well, you can't enjoy it. And so well care, feeling well, is something that we really need to pay as much attention to as we can, and we do. I have in the studio with me this afternoon a gentleman who's going to talk about health care, well care. And why don't you just introduce yourself to our audience here? We'll get started.
Absolutely. Hello, and thank you for inviting me first tonight. I'm Chuck Beeman, president of Harmony Health Plan in Illinois. It's a well care company that's based out of Tampa. We are focused solely on providing government-sponsored quality health care to the members in Illinois. We serve about 300,000 members, and they vary from children to seniors to single moms and dads and families. We have been in Illinois for more than 20 years, and I joined as the president of Harmony Health Plan in February, and I've been in WellCare for about 10 years now. So what attracts me to Harmony Health Plan and the government-sponsored health plan is that me personally, I've seen my grandparents who have struggled getting care, and they couldn't afford it, so they had to go to government hospitals in India. And I've seen how bad that care is and how much they struggle to get care. So when I had the opportunity, I wanted to make sure I was able to work in healthcare, and especially in government-sponsored healthcare for the underserved population.
But what triggered your entree in the beginning? So you've been in Chicago now
Yes.
for 10 years?
No, in Chicago for 6 months, in this company for 10 years.
Oh, okay. Where did you come from?
From Tampa, Florida.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I've been there in Tampa for 18 years.
That's a good place. As a matter of fact, my friend who is the congresswoman from Tampa in that area, she and her husband are both into politics.
Fantastic.
I think he may be the sheriff, and she's the congressman.
Oh, fantastic.
Val Dimon. Yeah, Val used to be the mayor, I believe, of Tampa. And her husband was the county sheriff.
Oh.
And she is now a member of Congress. And we had another young fellow who was in Tampa, Father Clements is a Catholic priest here, and he has adopted a number of sons over the years and has been very involved in social welfare. And one of his sons went to Tampa and worked with the NAACP and other kind of entities and organizations. So I've never been to Tampa, but it's a place I'd love to go. I mean, how do you think we're faring as a country in terms of health care? Are there unmet needs, and what do we do to try and meet those?
Absolutely, no, great question. One of the biggest struggles we have is healthcare is impacted by activities that are outside a doctor's office. Not all healthcare activities are impacted within the doctor's office. And that is something that we struggle to accept and influence. A good example is people struggle with good food. People struggle to have good shelter. They don't have transportation. When people are worried about these fundamental things, healthcare is the last thing on their mind. And that relates to behavioral health issues. When you have behavioral health issues, you struggle with taking care of the rest of your physical needs. And I think this is the biggest issue, what we popularly call now social determinants. And there are several types of social determinants that we need to worry about as people who can take care of this population. Unless you do that, and people are becoming aware of it, but we're not doing enough across the country to take care of it.
Well, one of the things that, I've been in social interaction, social welfare for a long time, and there are things that we actually need, but people aren't willing to pay for them. I'm saying, it's kind of like saying everybody want to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. I mean, so paying for health care, how do you think we get people's minds to the point where they know, one, you got to pay for it, and we want to make sure you don't have to pay too much for it,
Right.
but you got to pay for what it costs. I'm saying,
Right.
Determining the cost of health care is tough.
Absolutely. I think we talked about struggles of healthcare, we talked about social determinants, what affects the health outside of a physician's office. The second biggest problem we are facing in healthcare is the cost of healthcare. U.S. in general is one of the highest in terms of the amount of money we spend in healthcare in the world. But in correlation, if you look at the people who are healthy, we don't have the healthiest population in the world. So we spend more than everybody, and we don't have that level of healthcare in this country. And that's due to several reasons. We don't have cost-effective healthcare, be it the hospital system or be it physicians. Everything is expensive. The drugs are very expensive. So it is impossible to keep up with the growing price of healthcare today. So
Before I go to the phones, we always have an active call-in group. But let me ask you, if one wanted to be serviced by Harmony Healthcare, how do they connect with Harmony?
sure, let me talk about 5 good programs we do for the community so people can understand what can they call us about, right? So one is just we serve Medicaid programs, but let's think about we have been serving the community for several things. This year we spent about $500,000 on child obesity as well as healthcare for the homeless. And one of the things we realized is we have to take care of the healthcare for homeless as well as access to care, access to food and transportation. And we realized that if you want to go fast, you go alone, like the African proverb. And if you want to go far, go together. And so we've partnered with a lot of community organizations, such as I'm a Gentleman, Purple Asparagus, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and the Council on Alcoholism and Substance Abuse, as well as the Heartland Health Outreach. So what this does is we've noticed that people are 5 times more likely to go to a physician if you help them with these things. They're 2 times more likely to take care of the weight problems, 2 times more likely to get better for diabetes. So we offer all these community programs. And if they want to reach us, they can always call us at our community assistance line. We have people that sit in those lines, take calls, and these are people who have gone through similar issues.
I was out with Heartland
Yeah.
last week, out at 55th Street for the opening of a new center,
They do a fantastic job.
and was amazed. Actually, it's a new center. The design is such a way that you can see several patients all at the same time. And if you look at it from the outside, you wouldn't think that much activity could be going on the inside. So, I mean, I was just thrilled to see this. Well, let's let our caller call. Caller, go right ahead. Are you there?
Yes, I am, Congressman. You know what? It just amazes me. You look spiffy even in casual clothes. Well, you wear your clothes. You wear your clothes greatly.
We're getting ready for our annual back-to-school picnic and parade, and so I've been doing what you call grunt work. We having that on the
It's still
18th.
looking spiffy. And still looking spiffy. Let me make this, 2 quick comments. The first one is, sir, guess what? That young lady Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie Sanders, and many others are going to put you out of business and the rest of you guys because they want everything free. So there'll be no need for you. Now, how they're going to pay for it, I don't know. They could double taxes on everybody and still not pay for it. But listen, I'm 5'8". I weigh 325 pounds. I finally gave it up. I quit smoking, drinking. I'm down to 180 pounds. I still have a few pounds to go. I don't have high blood pressure anymore. I don't have type 2 diabetes anymore. I gave up sweet, salt. I gave all of that up. I gave up all bread. Now I feel great, and I'm 70 years old, and the women say I'm looking good. So you have to be able to do yourself, by yourself.
How do you respond to that?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Congressman.
First of all, I think you've done a phenomenal job by becoming disciplined at your age and losing so much weight. Takes a lot of mental discipline to do what you're doing. So I completely respect you for that. And the second part of it, when you're talking about where government is going and making everything free, we all know there's no such thing as a free lunch. Somebody has to pay for it, right? Either it's the taxpayers' money or we all have to work and pay for healthcare. So I'm glad people are looking at it, providing free healthcare, but I think number one problem to solve is how to reduce the cost of healthcare. So whether it's us in business doing it or somebody else, unless you reduce healthcare cost, it's tough to make it free or even for taxpayers.
Well, this free business, no matter what it is that you've got, somehow or another, there have to be processes to pay for it. And, utopian thought is that everybody will have all of their needs met and will have the resources and the money to do it. But of course, we live in a capitalistic society. And the notion is that each citizen in that society should be able to contribute something to the well-being of the society, not just to the well-being of themselves. I think in spite of the programs that we've developed and the initiatives that exist, that we have not spent enough time yet determining what quality of life do we want to have in our country. And I tell you, it takes a lot of planning, a lot of thought. When you say you want everybody to be able to go to the doctor, you also want everybody to be able to help pay the doctor. So let's see what our next caller has. Caller, are you there?
Yeah, how you doing, Connie James?
James, I'm doing
Good to
fine.
see your guest. Okay, when you talk about people should help people, now I look at Willie Wilson, like your guest said, people should help people, and I look at Willie Wilson when he trying to help his in his neighborhood. Like your guest said, and then Bruce Ryan don't like that. Your guess, what he's saying is true. Your guess.
Well, Dr. Wilson has been giving away money because he's a generous man. He also happens to be a very good personal friend of mine. And he's a person that I've been with, and we might be walking down the street and somebody may be hungry and having their hand out, and Dr. Wilson will make sure that he reaches in his pocket and give that person some money.
Like your guest said, people should help people, and your guest is right.
Well, Dr. Wilson certainly does help in many ways, and I got a feeling he's going to keep on helping. Some people think that he's only campaigning in terms of people thinking that he's doing a good job, but I've actually gone with him. I rode on a bus with him to Kansas City. We went to 2 church services that day, and he gave them $10,000.
That's fantastic.
I've also been with him in Washington, D.C., where there's a gentleman who has a church, and his name is Willie Wilson also. He's a well-known minister in D.C., and Willie was at his church that day, and he gave the sermon, and he also gave him a check for $10,000. So some of the giveaways that Dr. Wilson does is not in Chicago, in the Chicago area at all. So I think he's pretty genuine in terms of what he gives, and all
And I
of
think
that.
your guest is very education. Your guest is real smart, Country Davis.
All right. Well,
Okay.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure. Well, you know, one of our favorite callers has described you. He said, you must be a smart man to be doing this, to be running Harmony Health.
Yeah.
How do you respond to?
You know, he's asking a good question, and I'll give you an example of what we do, because you have to help people. We believe in helping people in different ways. One of the examples is the Big Brothers Big Sisters. We have spent almost $750,000 in the last 3 years. And what do we do with that is we bring law enforcement people to mentor the youth so they stay healthy, they go to education. We recently sponsored the Bud Billiken Scholarship Award to pay for a young kid called Kaya Reeves. She's going to Texas Southern University.
TSU.
Yeah, and she's going to be doing physical therapy and health sciences as well. So if you help the youth now, get them education, get them out of the social determinant issues of housing and transportation and shelter, you will automatically see a shift in the community and the neighborhood. So we invest in this through supporting the youth, and we are very proud of that. So there are different ways to give back to the community, and there are different ways to change the community. So we strongly believe that that what he's requesting is fair, but it doesn't have to be always straight money, but you can do it in multiple ways.
I love the big brothers, little brothers, big sisters. I was a big brother to a young fella. His name is Courtney Miller. Courtney now is a minister in Maryland. He has a church that he's the pastor of.
Fantastic.
And I've actually been there to speak. So
Fantastic.
and Courtney also ended up working for Senator Al Gore, Vice President Al Gore, and tried to help him become president, but he didn't make it. Let's take this call right quick.
Yes, good evening. I used to work in the healthcare field, and I just wanted to point out there is a misconception of some people about generic drugs. When a patent runs out on a drug and the generic equivalent becomes available, it is so much less expensive. Yet some people have this mental block that getting this generic drug, because it has a different name or it's in a different package, it's not going to be as effective. That's nonsense. When a patent runs out, the exact same basic product is now available at a much less cost. So a lot of people need to be made aware that it really is the same thing as the original drug that costs more. And it's incumbent upon the individual who needs the drug now to use the less expensive drug, because that's one way where just about anybody who needs medication can keep their costs down. I know it's late in the show, but I just wanted to hear if you had any thoughts on that.
All right, go ahead. Your company has a...
He is spot on. You're spot on what you just said. We strongly believe in generic usage, which is we track how many of our Medicaid members in Illinois. We have about 250,000 Medicaid members in Illinois, and 86%, approximately 86% of our prescriptions are generic drugs. And for the exact same reason you're talking about, it's not expensive, but it's as effective as a brand drug. So we continuously push and make sure that our physicians are prescribing the generic options. And we also work with pharmacies to make sure that if there is an equivalent generic option, to give that to our members, because it still takes care of them, they still get the same effect. There's no need to go spend money on branded drugs. You are spot on, and your observation is good, and it's a big focus for us to bring the pharmacy drug cost down for our constituents here.
So your company attempts to do that?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's good.
We track that every week.
Let me make a couple of announcements. Wednesday of this week coming up, we are having a tribute for Bob Van Drasik, who has been an organizer with the South Austin Coalition for about 40 years. And Bob is now coming to the end of his work. He's ill, but we're going to pay tribute Wednesday at 10 o'clock, 10 to 12, at the Senior Center place right there on Harrison, and at the Austin Satellite, 5071 West Congress Parkway. We also have our 39th year back to school picnic and parade. Is going to be Saturday, August the 18th. We're going to have technology in the park, book carriers, everything you can think of that one needs to go to school, but also things that they may like before getting to school, like watermelon and different stuff like that.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Hot dogs, we usually cook about 6,000 or 7,000 hot dogs. On that day, we've actually cooked up to 10,000 one year. So if we get 10,000 this year, that'll be all right, because if we run out of hot dogs, we just run to the store and get some more and cook hot dogs until the end of the day. So come on out and join us for the picnic and parade. We will have technology in the park for young people, and they can learn some of the rudiments of technology and how to make use of it and learn about coding and all those other things that we do. And so we're looking forward to it. We also will have health screening and health stuff to give away and help kids get ready to go back to school. It's just a whole day of fun and frolicking, and that's going to be Saturday, August the 18th. Well, let's see if we can get our last word before we have to go.
No, absolutely. No, I want to leave a couple of things. I want to make sure if somebody needs assistance to our community line, please call 1-866-775-2192. Again, 1-866-775-2192. The second thought I want to leave before we end is, I follow Dalai Lama, who's a Buddhist, and he's come and visited our prior presidents before. One thing that he said always sticks with me, which is, they asked him what is the most surprising thing about human beings, and he said, the humans spend all their health to make money, and then when they get old, they spend all their money to get their health back. So let's keep that in mind before you go spend all your health and waste all your health trying to make that money. So stay healthy, live healthy, and we look forward to helping you if you need anything, and feel free to call us.
Well, thank you very much. And I too have experienced the Dalai Lama. I've been to hear him speak, and more than once. So, hey, it means I'm on the right track.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Davis.
Thank you very much. All right.